is a fascinating molecule with a really unusual profile. It's simultaneously an anesthetic, a painkiller, an antidepressant, and a recreational drug, all depending on dose and context. Let me walk through it. What it is chemically: ketamine, C13H16CLNO, is an aryl cyclohexylamine, a class of compounds that includes PCP. It comes in two mirror image molecular forms, enantiomers, S-ketamine and R-ketamine, which behave slightly differently in the body. Its primary mechanism is as an NMDA receptor antagonist. NMDA receptors are a type of glutamate receptor, glutamate being the brain's main excitatory neurotransmitter. Here's what happens. Normally, NMDA receptors allow calcium ions to flow into neurons, which is essential for learning, memory formation, and synaptic signaling. Ketamine enters the ion channel and physically blocks it, called open channel block, preventing calcium from flowing through. This dissociates sensory input from conscious awareness, which is why it produces that signature dissociative state. The brain is still receiving signals, but it can't integrate them normally. Beyond NMDA blockade, ketamine also interacts with opioid receptors, contributing to pain relief. Dopamine pathways, relevant to its antidepressant and abuse potential, and sigma receptors, possibly relevant to its psychedelic qualities. At low doses, you get analgesia and mild dissociation. At anesthetic doses, you get a trance-like state where the patient appears awake, eyes open, muscle tone maintained, but is fully unresponsive to pain, called dissociative anesthesia. History: 1962. Ketamine was first synthesized by Calvin Stevens at Park Davis Pharmaceutical Company. It was developed as a safer alternative to PCP, which caused severe and prolonged psychosis in surgical patients. 1964. First human trials were conducted on prisoners in Michigan. Researchers noted the distinctive dissociative state and confirmed it was far more manageable than PCP. 1970. The FDA approved ketamine for human use. It was almost immediately deployed in the Vietnam War as a battlefield anesthetic. It was ideal because it didn't require careful dosing equipment, didn't suppress breathing, and could be administered quickly in chaotic conditions. 1970s-80s. It became a workhorse anesthetic worldwide, especially in low-resource settings and pediatric medicine, because of its remarkable safety profile. Unlike most anesthetics, it actually maintains airway reflexes and blood pressure rather than suppressing them. 1980s-90s. Its recreational use emerged, particularly as Special K in club and rave culture. At sub-anesthetic doses, it produces euphoria, time distortion, and at high enough doses, the famous K-hole, a profound dissociative state that users describe as an out-of-body or near-death-like experience. 2000s. Researchers began seriously investigating ketamine for treatment-resistant depression. A landmark 2000 study showed that a single 4 infusion produced rapid antidepressant effects, sometimes within hours, in patients who had failed multiple other treatments. This was genuinely shocking because traditional antidepressants take weeks to work. How and where it's used today: 1. Anesthesia. Still widely used, especially in veterinary medicine, pediatric procedures, emergency settings, and battlefield austere medicine. It's on the WHO's list of essential medicines. 2. Pain management. Low-dose ketamine infusions are used in hospitals for acute pain, post-surgical pain, and chronic pain conditions like complex regional pain syndrome, CRPS. It's especially useful for patients with opioid tolerance. 3. Depression and mental health. This is where things got exciting recently. In 2019, the FDA approved esketamine, Spravato, the S-enantiomer in nasal spray form, specifically for treatment-resistant depression and major depression with suicidal ideation. It's the first genuinely new antidepressant mechanism approved in decades. Patients take it in a certified clinic under observation. Beyond Spravato, ketamine infusion clinics have exploded across the US. These are typically private pay clinics where patients receive 4 ketamine for depression, PTSD, anxiety, and OCD. Insurance rarely covers it, making it expensive. $400, $800 per infusion, typically done in a series of 6. 4. PTSD. Research is ongoing and promising. The dissociative state may actually help facilitate trauma processing, and there are clinical trials combining ketamine with psychotherapy. 5. Palliative care, used for pain and occasionally to ease end-of-life distress. Why the antidepressant effect is so interesting. The leading theory is that NMDA blockade triggers a glutamate surge, a burst of activity that activates AMPA receptors and downstream signaling pathways, ultimately increasing BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. BDNF essentially fertilizes neurons. It promotes synapse growth and repair. In depressed brains, chronic stress has pruned back synaptic connections in the prefrontal cortex. Ketamine may rapidly reverse that. This is sometimes called the synaptogenesis hypothesis of ketamine's antidepressant effect. It's also worth noting that the antidepressant effect outlasts the drug's presence in the body by days to weeks, which suggests it's triggering genuine structural changes rather than just a mood boost while the drug is active. The shadow side is real though. Chronic recreational use is associated with severe ketamine cystitis, bladder damage that can require surgical removal, cognitive impairment, and psychological dependence. It's a drug that rewards careful, controlled use and punishes abuse pretty harshly.